Well, hi there. So I'm going to show you how to do my autumn haze stitch. And I guess I'll just tell you a few things. So I always write the name of the stitch on a piece of paper and attach it to the loom with a stitch marker, kind of a safety pin thing. And then on the back I write down the rows and the stitches I'm doing in the rows, so I know too whether I'm going right or left with each stitch. And if I was doing a round project, I would just take that stitch marker and attach it to the bottom of the work so that I would have that record on there. And then with this particular pattern, I wanted to do an edge treatment, so I marked the edges on both sides. And what I used, these are needle knitter stitch markers in the small size. They fit great on all the pegs on all these looms. So I like to use them. I get them on Amazon. I get a package for a really economical price of them in different colors. So I like that. And the loom I'm using, this is Cindy Wood's new pegs. So how they're different is the pegs are just a little bit longer, which is just really nice, because if I'm doing a lot of yarn overs and doing more than one strand on a peg, it's not going to slip off so easy because it's a little bit longer. And then it's just a little bit slimmer. Not slim enough that your work slips off, but just slim enough that it's easier to take it over. So they're really, really nice. So it's the same as all the other Cindy Woods except for the different pegs. So this is a 42 peg 3/4 inch loom. Okay. So the yarn I'm using, so we're on 3/4 inch loom, and I'm using a number 6 yarn for this, and it's Hometown USA in the color, it's a number 6. Where is that color? Well, it's a kind of a teal blue color. There it is, San Diego Navy. Oh, I've got the wrong color here. Sorry about that. I pulled the wrong color out to show you. Oh, that's too funny. See? It's a teal. The color is, everything else is the same, but the color is a peacock. Okay? That's too funny. Okay. There we go. And my loom hook isn't sold anymore. And people always ask me about it, but you can find similar ones on Etsy. Okay? All right, so let's get going. Now, I'm going to link the cast on that I use for this on my channel, so you'll be able to find it. And I also did my foundation rows with owl eye stitch, which you'll also find on my channel. So what I did is I cast on with the chain stitch. And then what I did was 4 rows of owl eye, but I could have got by with 2. But this just made a longer border. Owl eye is going to here on it. And then on the side, I did an owl eye border on the side. And when I do an owl eye border, it looks like this on the side. See if I can get it where you can see it. The dark color. There we go. Now you can see it better. It's just a nice, tight, kind of chainy look, which I really prefer to slipped edges. They're just way too loose. I don't like them. Okay, so that's the kind of edge I did. But this is just a stitch video, so you can do whatever you want with the stitch and do any kind of edge treatment you wanted, but I wanted to make sure I did one and told you about it so that you'd have one, and you'd also be able to find the cast on. Okay, so after you do your foundation rows, and my owl eye border is marked with the stitch markers, it's a 2-row stitch. Okay? Row 1 is twisty stitch. So how you do that, you take the working yarn and you go over into a U-wrap, knit it off, and then you come back the other, you come back the other way, knit it off. Okay, so U-wrap, then you come back and do a U-wrap the other way, knit it off, U-wrap, U-wrap on the peg back the other way, so every peg gets 2 stitches on it. Okay, over, over, and that gives you a really nice texture. And you want to keep your work nice and loose so it's easy to knit over. Okay, so now when we come to the edge, we're going to go over into a U-wrap, and this time we're going to go around the peg in the same direction and knit it again, right? But I'm going to put it over this peg when I do that, but keeping it loose like a U-wrap, and then knit that off. Okay, and then we're going to come back over these two pegs, knit them off, and keep this edge loose. If you have to, you can always pull on it to keep it looser. You want to have a nice loose edge because it's going to knit up and it's going to be nice and tight, and you don't want it to be smaller than the rest of your work by making it really, really tight. Okay, and then I knit this one off. Oop. And then I'm going to go around to the second wrap on this one, and I do it. And then this way we're going to do the twisted owl stitch for our second row. So row 1 is twisty, row 2 is the twisted owl stitch. Okay, so you go behind and over and knit it off, and then come back over and knit it. So how it's different from the other stitch is we're going to do an E-wrap over the peg, and we're going to come back over the same peg doing a U-wrap. Now you want to keep this loose. If you were to pull this tight, you wouldn't be able to get this over, and it would be really hard. Now if you ever get too tight, just pull a bit on the strand. It'll loosen it up. Knit it off. Okay, so do the E-wrap and the U-wrap over it, nice and loose. E-wrap, U-wrap over it. And again, if you're too tight, loosen it. Easy to do on these stitches. Once you get going, this goes really fast because you're putting 2 stitches on every peg, so you're getting quite a long stitch happening. Okay, now we're at these 2 pegs, so I go over it in a U-wrap. My yarn is splitting a little bit, and I go over the 2 of them like this. I'm making sure I'm nice and loose here. Pull on it if you don't think you're loose enough. You want to be nice and loose. And then go over the 2, and then come over this one again, and I'm just going to put the yarn over there because the first stitch of twisty is over like that, and knit that one over for twisty and then back the other way. Okay, so this row is twisty again. Now there is a little gear on the video somewhere, bottom corner on a computer, and you can slow down a video. So if you need to see any of the stitches done a lot slower, you can slow them down. And there's a way to do it on phones too. Okay, and then we're back here, so I'm going to knit owl eye border here. Okay, and over the 2 of them, making sure you keep this loose. I've seen people that have such tight edges, they've made their work curl no matter what stitch they used. Because if it's a lot smaller than the rest of it, it's going to pull towards the middle. Okay, now we do E-wrap and then over it in a U-wrap, E-wrap behind, and then over in front in a U-wrap. It's a twisted owl stitch. So that's all there is to it. One row of twisty, one row of twisted owl, and you're going to need to do some kind of bottom and edge treatment. It will have a slight curl to it. It's not a horrible curling stitch, but it will curl a little bit. Okay, so after I do this, we'll take a little look at it. So I'm doing my owl eye edge again, and if you start to get tight again, the owl eye, you just loosen it up by doing that, pulling on it. Oop. Okay, and then I always check to make sure this stays nice and loose on the edge. Want to have a nice looking edge. And then I always finish my edge before I put my work down so I know my first stitch is on the other peg. Okay, and we'll take a look at it. Now we've done more. There. Really, really nice stitch. But a lot of texture to it. Put it like this, you can sort of see the texture more. A lot of texture. And if we look at the other side looks nice too. There's the owl eye on the bottom, and then here's this stitch here. Pull on it a little bit so you can see it. And it looks nice on this side too. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Oh, this stitch looks really good in the round too. So you can do it in the round. It looks nice as a hat or anything like that you want to make. So it can be flat or it can be in the round. And I hope you have a lot of fun with it. You can use it in different rows of work that you do, just to give it some texture there. And there's all kinds of things you can do with it. There, see, we can see the texture that way too. Okay then, until next time. Bye.